what has your research led you to do in terms of preparing yourself financially?
For myself?
Yeah.
That's a great question, because I spent a lot of time researching possible places to retire to, going to visit those places, going to retirement conferences, that sort of thing. My strategy is to continue to invest in real estate such that by the time I'm 70, which is in 10 years, a little over 10 years, I will be able to cash out, invest the profits into some kind of a dividend-paying blue chip stock that will pay me if, let's say, I can accumulate $2 million in profits from the properties. At 5%, that's $100,000 a year. That's a pretty decent standard of living to be able to take and maybe go live in another country during the winter months, maybe rent places. And, there's all kinds of retirement talk about places like Panama and Ecuador and the Caribbean, Costa Rica,
Southern Europe. Yeah.
Sure, Portugal, all those sorts of places. I think there's a whole kind of a subculture of people in the world right now who are really focused on, where do I want to be in the winter? Where could I go where I'm going to have social connection with other people, and I'm going to be able to enjoy the warm weather and enjoy, being on the beach and eating good food and all those sorts of things. It's kind of like a full-time job to be researching all of this stuff. That's certainly one of my strategies. Also, I'm a hugely enthusiastic stock hacker, and I'd love to talk with you about that. You could not have told me when I first started with you in September of 2019. I was in on the very first course, and I remember it so well. I remember being fascinated by the whole concept of it, but until I was able to wrap my brain around all of it, kind of intimidated by, how do I do this? How do I jump in and start putting all of the philosophy into practice? And what happened with me was I borrowed $10,000. And I funded my account with a borrowed $10,000, and I started to do what I could with the information that I had at my disposal from that course. And I found it a tough go. And so eventually, after a couple of months, I decided to pay back the loan, continue to study, and to come back stronger. And luckily for me and for many other people, you were wise enough to know that there are all kinds of teachers out there and all kinds of different strategies out there, and you introduced us to Lee Lowell. And when I watched the videos of one of the courses that he had done with you, I love this phrase that you used. It really inspired me and motivated me. You said, you're going to have to grind it for a while. And I thought, wow, what a great way to put it. Yeah, you have to grind it for a while, because these concepts, maybe if you're a mathematician or someone who's, just drawn to numbers and you understand all these things, without any hesitation, maybe it wasn't such a big undertaking. But for somebody like me, I consider myself an excellent student. I'm very motivated. I love to study. I love to research. But even for somebody like me, it took me a good couple of months watching the videos, taking notes, being involved in the stock hacker meetings, talking to other people who were in the trenches doing it, which was hugely helpful to know that I wasn't by myself. There were other people, in there doing their best to learn it and to help other people understand it. I'm going to say January, February, I watched the videos, I studied, I took notes. February, March, I was involved in the stock hacker meetups online, talking to other people, listening to you, listening to the people you had give their presentations. And I started in earnest in April, I would say. And from April to now, which is just the very beginning of August, I have been able to profit on a pool of $10,000 of cash and $75,000 of borrowed money at a low interest rate. So that's $85,000 total. I have been able to take almost $20,000 in profits. And that is from doing nothing but what Lee Lowell tells me to do. the official trades and the unofficial trades. It even took me, and you will laugh at this because I know that you're a risk taker. It took me a while to even feel comfortable doing his unofficial trades, which anybody who's listening, what you need to know about Lee Lowell is that he's a extremely conservative investor, right? So even Lee Lowell's unofficial trades are more conservative than a lot of investors would even consider as a good trade, right? So it took me a while to even feel comfortable doing that. But just doing those two things, his official trades and his unofficial trades, like almost $20,000 from April to August. I mean, that's extraordinary. And what does that do for somebody like me? I mean, I consider myself to be an educated, somebody who's part of the middle class, maybe the upper middle class, but still the middle class. What this means is, or the difference that this makes in the life of somebody like me, is that suddenly money isn't such a worry anymore. There isn't so much stress on figuring out how am I going to pay for that, or if that expense comes up unexpectedly, how will I handle it, or I can only have so many lines of credit. I don't want to max them out. I want to start paying them down. I mean, this has changed everything for me. And I will say this, that I think one of the reasons that I've embraced it the way I have is that I trust you. And I trust that you want to do the right thing for people. And you go out there and you find teachers and you find people who can come in and talk to us and help us to understand these concepts and help us to have the determination to keep working at it, even when we don't understand it, keep going, keep grinding it, right? I give all credit to you for feeling strongly enough about not just wanting to make money for yourself and your family and to make sure that they're provided for, but to want to help educate other people in that middle area, that middle part of society, that, they want something better and they're working hard at doing that for their families. But this is like, how many times have you said, get your phone out? It's right there. I mean, I've lost count of the number of times that I have actually done a trade while I've been on vacation, or like the last time I was waiting to get on a ferry in my car in the Maritimes, and suddenly I see the alert from Lee Lowell saying, "Hey, there's a trade." I go in my email, I find out, and like while I'm sitting there waiting to get on a ferry boat, I'm executing the trade. It's phenomenal to think that this is a tool that we can all use to help ourselves and to help other people. I mean, I want to make money to give it away. And what a great way to be able to accumulate the money that you can use to get yourself out of debt, to invest in whatever it is, if it's real estate, if it's options, if it's stocks, whatever you want to invest in, but then also to start focusing some of your efforts on using this tool to make money in order to give it away to people who need it. I couldn't ask for more.
Thank you, Karen. Made my day. It's still pretty early, though.
Well, let's hope.
That's why we recruited Lee Lowell to help us with the course. We knew there were issues with their earlier versions. That's why we went to the best-selling author who wrote the strategies, and also that's why we included his trades as part of the introductory course. Because if you just follow the trades, you should be able to stay out of trouble. It's
like 1, 2, 3, ABC. Yeah. You do what he tells you to do, or what he advises you to do. It couldn't be more straightforward. I won't say it's easy. It's straightforward. Mm-hmm. Yeah, mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know if anything's easy.
I don't think anything's easy, really.
Right. So anything that's worth it is not easy.
No.
Right.
If anyone could do it, how does the saying go? If it was easy, anyone could do it.
Yeah.
Right?
I do think anyone can do it.
You do, and I think that's true, but you also have to have the intention to want to do it.
Yeah.
And then the determination to learn how to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it always comes up. I posted on my social media about it. There's a lot of people I know who are not interested in making money. Right? Versus me, I have all these fears. I have all these concerns, and I know inflation is real.
Yes.
Right? The government's telling you it's not. I don't know why.
I think that's what sets you apart, is that you understand economic reality. And most people don't. They don't understand inflation. They don't understand that their money isn't worth as much today as it was a year ago, and what should they be doing to try to help themselves. You know, they'll probably never understand why it might be a good idea to buy some gold or to get interested in Bitcoin. You know, what's that all about? Maybe that could help me. I think they're afraid. They don't want to lose their money, and they're not devoted enough to want to do the work of learning how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
I think everyone who's not investing is losing money.
It's very true.
Right.
Sure.
Anyone with kids, you know, how is your kid supposed to afford a house?
Yes.
Right. And I say house because I want my kids to live in a house.
Yes.
Right. So do something about it.
Exactly.
Right. If nothing else, like people call it investing all the time. I started off just by hedging. Prices keep going up. What if my kids can afford a house? Why not just buy one? So then I hedge. As in, so if prices keep going up, they'll be able to have a house.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like so my worst case scenario is covered. But people won't make the effort.
I think they won't make the effort to go beyond their comfort zone. That's part of it. You know, I'm pretty used to doing that. I've been doing it for a long time. And I know you've been doing it forever. I think a lot of people are just so comfortable inside their little bubble that they don't want to, you know, go to the time and the trouble and the effort and energy to learn how they could help themselves.
Yeah. I tried water skiing for the second time in my life this week.
Oh, and how did it go?
Painful. Because 20 years ago when I tried the first time in my life, it was extremely painful.
Yes.
Right? Crashing into the water while being pulled by a high-powered boat. It is painful. But I did get up on my third time.
But you know what? Something else I admire about you is that...
Tolerance for pain?
No, and you have to understand this too, that I think you're unique. There aren't a whole lot of people who can try something and fail. Try something and fail. Try something and fail. Try something and lose money. Try something again and fail. And say to themselves, I just have to keep learning. I have to find a coach who could help me. I have to find a teacher who could explain it to me in a different way that I can understand. I have to try it again. Most people give up after the first fail, but you keep coming back and back and back and saying, you know, what can I learn from this? How can I put that lesson into play in my life? How can I take that and move forward and turn it to my benefit? And that's a great example for us to learn from. And I think it's an instinct that most people don't have because they're embarrassed by failure, or they give up because they think, well, it's not in the cards. But that's just so not the way to look at it.
Right. I also believe that anyone who doesn't share their failures is not being completely honest.
Yeah.
Right. Which is why I've shared, you know, I lost a bunch of money in March 2019. 20?
Or 2019?
When COVID started happening.
2020.
Yeah, 2020. Wow. Doesn't seem that long ago.
I know.
But anyways, I lost a bunch of money in the crash because of the strategies I was following. And that's when I reached out to Lee. Like, there's got to be something better.
Yes.
And so I hired him to coach me privately.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Right? And he opened my eyes to the holes in my strategy and the holes in my game. And then we tested them out and realized we needed him to help us with the course.
Yes.
Right? And that's how we went. And then, you know, Derek is now...
Yes, I know, yes.
Yeah, so now, I don't think we've actually never announced it. Not on this level. But anyways, Derek Foster, who wrote the book, 6-time best-selling author, Canadian, retired Canadian. He wrote the book, Money for Nothing, Your Stocks for Free. So he'll be teaching one morning.
Which is super exciting.
Of course, yeah, super excited, right?
Yes.
It's just something my dad that always taught me was that there's always someone better. But
how cool is that? Because so often, like people's mentality is, I think it's their ego gets tied up inside all of this thinking, and they don't want to embarrass themselves. So they wouldn't be transparent. They wouldn't say, hey, I lost a bunch of money, but then I hired Lee Lowell and we found the holes in my strategy and look at me now. It wouldn't occur to them to look at it that way. I think your dad did you a great favor by teaching you that or introducing you to that way of seeing the world. There's always someone better. There's always someone who knows more. There's always someone who could teach you and raise you up. That's a wonderful worldview to have, and it's a way of seeing the world that I don't think a lot of people have because their parents weren't in a position to teach them that.